Welcome along to the Floodwater Contaminants and Effective Mitigation Techniques EOI briefing with the Natural Hazard Research Australia. My name's Rowena Morris. I am the New South Wales ACT Node Research Manager with Natural Hazard Research Australia. To start with, I'd like to acknowledge our Aboriginal elders. I'm in Dharawal country here in Wollongong, and I acknowledge that we're meeting on lands around Australia today. I'd like to pay my respect to the elders, past, present, and emerging. I'd also like to recognise that these lands that we're meeting on today and waters for those that are right nearby or happen to be on a boat today, particularly with contamination, if you're sitting on a boat looking at the samples at the moment. But the waters have always been, and the land, are places of teaching, research, and learning. What we're going to cover today is we'll give you an introduction about the project. So this briefing will provide a detailed description of the project and the opportunities for interested parties to pose specific questions to assist with developing submissions for our current expression of interest for floodwater contaminants and effective mitigation techniques. We'll cover information about NHRA. We'll give you a bit of background to the project and objectives, and that's where I've got an excellent person coming from SES, Sophie, who I'll introduce you to, talk to you all about the project and what outputs they're looking for. I'll explain to you about the governance with NHRA and our expression of interest process, and we'll have some time at the end for question time. This is a casual, friendly atmosphere. Feel free to put your hand up, buddy, and ask questions. We're here to help you understand what's involved in the process. The answers to the questions that people ask will be transcribed and shared on the project page. You can ask the questions anytime, as I mentioned. This briefing will be easy, not too formal briefing. The chat is open. So for those who don't know, there's a little chat button where you can write your questions in, or otherwise put your hands up and we'll answer your questions as well. The most important thing is that today, you, the researchers, get to ask questions and clarify any aspects to the call for the EOI. You'll get a good understanding of what we have in mind for this project and the EOI process so that you're in a good position to put forward a solid EOI submission. We appreciate the time and effort that goes into the response to the calls for EOIs. They do take a little bit of work, but it's a really good process for us to understand what you can deliver and also for you to understand what we're asking as part of the EOI. So today is your chance to get what you need for us to support you in making a brilliant, awesome application. Now, I'd like to introduce our team today. You have already met me, but Sophie Egdon from New South Wales SES, she's the Operational Policy Officer capability. She'll be giving you the details from an operational point of view as to what SES are looking for. This is not just an SES project in New South Wales, it's nationwide. As we know, there's a lot of flood issues going around Australia, and contamination and the mitigation of our volunteers and our staff that are involved with SES, all the operational people, is very important to us. And very importantly, Lara Wedding behind the scenes is our Research Services Project Officer. She makes today run smoothly, keeps me on track, and also assists with making sure the computers operate and that we answer all your questions. So can't do it without you, Lara. Thank you for coming today. Sophie, did you want to quickly say hello to everybody? Let you introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm based in Sydney, and as Ro mentioned, I'm an operational policy officer in what we call our capability team. Yeah, this is definitely a area that we're really passionate about. So looking forward to today. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Sophie. So Natural Hazard Research Australia, we stand on the shoulders of the former bushfire CRC and the bushfire natural hazard CRC. They were around for 20 years prior. So this version of the centre commenced in July 21. We have $85 million over the next 10 years from the Commonwealth to put towards funding for projects. And that's where this project comes from, the funding. Plus, we also get partner contributions. So SES have actually put money towards this sort of research that NHRA are delivering. The core objective of the centre, that's us in NHRA, is to protect human life and minimise harm and suffering, contribute to developing and supporting well-prepared, resilient communities. And we want to invest in research that translates into action. We want our research to be useful, usable, and used. And this project is definitely one that is going to be used, and we want it to be as useful as possible, which I'm sure as researchers you'll be able to work closely with SES to deliver what we're looking for. Now, I am going to hand over to Sophie. She's going to give you the project background and more information about what SES are looking for in this project. Thanks, Sophie.
Thanks, Ro. Hi, everyone. So you're probably aware state emergency service members right across Australia. I'm speaking on behalf of the New South Wales SES today, but they're frequently entering floodwaters in the course of their work, mostly around flood rescues and those kind of life-threatening situations. And what we're really interested in are three areas around floodwater and the contaminants that they contain. So one is we're really interested in identifying the hazards, both biological and chemical, that may be present in floodwater in different situations. Secondly, we really want an assessment of the health risks around those hazards. And thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, we're really looking for effective mitigation strategies. So that's kind of how this came about. So the main output that we would love to see from this work is a research report, and it would cover those three areas that I just mentioned. And along with that, a literature review on the floodwater contamination and human health, health impact analysis, environmental risk identification, a list of the contaminants, so that those chemical and biological contaminants that might be present, their impacts, the mitigation options, and knowledge gaps. And we're particularly interested in also the evidence sources, because we know that this is not unique to Australia. It happens all around the world. Emergency service volunteers and staff needing to enter floodwater potentially. A water testing survey plan for future floods to address knowledge gaps. Human health risk assessment for SES members in varied flood environments. And when we say varied, mind might go to, say, a riverine flood would probably be the one that most people think of when we're talking about floodwaters, but there's a lot of different kinds of floods. There can be an urban flash flood. There might be kind of those long-term stagnant inland waters that might hang around for a long time in some flatter parts of the country. And so there's all kinds of different ways, I guess, that flooding can happen and different environments. So we're really keen to explore that. And mitigation strategies. So typically what you might think of for entering floodwater, it would be an SES member wearing a wetsuit, getting into floodwater. Potentially they might be in and out multiple times in a day. And so we're interested in the mitigation strategies around that. So that might be personal protective equipment and clothing, decontamination protocols, vaccinations, long-term health screening, all of those things, and I'm sure a whole lot more that you might uncover in your research. And we're also very interested in future research opportunities too. So along with that research report, we would really like a short guideline about those mitigation strategies that you determine from research. We'd be really interested in that. Stakeholder presentations, academic publications in journals, and of course, other innovative outputs that you think would kind of meet the anticipated outcomes that we're aiming towards. I'll just pass to Ro for the last few there, the additional outputs. Thanks, Ro.
No worries. So thanks, Sophie. You will end up developing a project plan, which is a research plan. And part of NHRA, we love to make our communications really accessible to everybody. So there is a plain language statement as part of that, which is a 2-page simple English language as to what the project will be about. We love governance. We make sure the project ticks along nicely. So there will be quarterly progress reports that you do through a program called Turnkey. And there will be an evaluation of the project at the end. That's about a 3-page document. Plus, we like to keep records on where all the data is being kept in the future. There's also lots of communications involved. There'll be relevant communication outputs such as presentations. We have the NHRA Forum each year. This year coming up, it will be in Adelaide in June, and it's a brilliant event where you get to share your information, meet the other researchers, particularly meet the end users and collaborate, which it's an excellent event. We have an awesome comms team that produce hazard notes at the end of the research that makes it in a format that the operational people can really digest and go, do we want to go further into those literature reviews or the report? It gives them that snapshot of the information at the beginning. And as a researcher, you'll be working with them to develop a beautiful hazard note. There's posters at conferences. I'm sure you're across that sort of work. And then obviously we would love literature academic, published, so there's an evidence-based trail for the future operations and policy that gets written on mitigation for floods. And I'll throw back to Sophie again for the anticipated outcomes.
I mean, as mentioned, we're really interested in those three areas around identifying what the hazards are in floodwater and the associated risks, assessment of the health risks, and an understanding of the contaminant trends and risk profile. And that comes back to those different types of flooding that we mentioned, the long-term flooding that hangs around for up to several months, especially New South Wales, in the fast coastal riverine, and just all the different areas that might happen, and those kind of urban flash floods that we've just had very recently here in Sydney. And we're really interested in understanding those risk profiles that are related to that, and that short and long-term health impacts that we can identify from that. And of course, the improved mitigation strategies. So all around what we can do to make it a safer situation for our members and increase the operational safety as they're entering floodwater. Thanks very much. I think that's all from me.
No, that's beautiful. No, thank you. It's got some great outcomes in this project, and particularly one I know some of the commissioners have been talking to me about. The option of not going in the water is not an option. We need mitigation strategies so people can go in the water and respond when there is an incident. Most of our documents at the moment just say avoid floodwaters. Well, when you're an SES person rescuing somebody stuck in the flood, you can't really avoid that floodwater. So we really need these mitigation strategies as the best science out there that we can get. So thank you for coming along. There's more information. Oh, wait, collaboration. It's a really big part of research with NHRA. We definitely want our research to be useful, usable and used. We find that if you talk well and meet regularly with our end users, that being the SES folks, we'll end up with a project that's much easier to transfer the knowledge and to meet the needs of our participant users. The researchers are encouraged to outline your approach to ensure effective collaboration, which could include maybe one of your researchers could go and sit in at the SES office and get to know their lingo and what they're really looking for. Likewise, you might want to open up your offices for one of the SES people to come and have a good chat with your researchers as to what you're trying to deliver. But that collaboration is really important when it comes to making useful, usable and new science in the emergency management. Now, this is what you're all waiting for, the budget. So we have an upper budget of $150,000. When we do the EOI assessment, we do compare on value for money. So make sure you're providing the evidence as to how you're going to deliver the project and what it will cost. At the moment, there's a budget spreadsheet that you will find in the EOI submission form. If you look on our website, you'll find it hard to find at the moment because it's the guidelines on our project page, but soon there'll be a direct link to the Excel spreadsheet as well when we remove the EOI briefing link on the web page. So if you're looking for it, you'll find it in the EOI page. If not, in about a week's time, it will also be on our project page. I just like giving people a good heads up on that because it's hard to find. It's definitely an Excel spreadsheet you need to fill in. We're looking at a 1-year timeframe for this project, and you must use our EOI template. You can't use your own Word documents, and there are limitations on characters that you can use within the boxes of it. Now, the governance for this project, we prefer one lead provider for contracting purposes. It makes it simpler. The contract would be with Natural Hazard Research Australia. There'll be a project management committee that consists of definitely 1 or 2 or maybe even 5 of the SES delegates joining us, as well as it'll be myself with Natural Hazard Research and 1 or 2 of the lead researchers, and people like Lara come along and assist as well, which is it's a really good way of getting that research well governed and well managed. With this one, we'll extend it and have a reference group as well, so we can get good diversification around the state, so you're not just focusing on one area. We like regular meetings, so that will be the quarterly meetings, but at the beginning it might meet a little bit more often just to get the research plan up and running. For reporting with NHRA, you will deliver a project plan. That's the research plan. There'll be milestone deliveries throughout the 1 year. There'll be quarterly progress reports that we also send out to our end users. There's an evaluation at the end, as well as stakeholder presentations. And hopefully your project will be so brilliant that we'll be taking you to the NHRA forum in Adelaide, and a lot of people will be tuning in. You also get chances to, we run webinars, and you can be on that webinar, and we can have, upwards of 1,000. I don't know if 10,000 is exaggerating, but we get a lot of people along to these webinars if it's a topic that's really interested, and we get a lot of international interest as well. So your science gets well shared around the community. To apply for it, I'm sure you've already found the web page because you've got to today with the online briefing registration on the side. That online briefing will be changed to the link to the Excel spreadsheet for you for the budget, but you also need to download the EOI submission form. If you have any questions, you need to contact research@naturalhazards.com.au. Don't come to me directly because I'll link you straight back to research@naturalhazards.com.au because that way it's all kept on record. Submissions of the EOI, we're looking for them to be handed in by the 20th of February 2026. We gave this project more time because we do know it's over Christmas and people have had the silly season, but we're now back to business and we're really looking forward to those submissions being in by 5 o'clock Australian Eastern Daylight Time, 20th of February. We have statement of capability. So these are the word limits that are with the EOI for you actually making the submission. We look for a statement about the diversity of your project team. We'd like to know about your project inclusion and respect of First Nations people, cultures, rights, or knowledges. We'd like you to describe how the project team intends to approach the project. We need an indicative schedule of works and interim milestone project outputs for the project. We would like to know your project budget in line with the budget envelope provided, and that is completed in the budget template. That's the Excel spreadsheet. So when we assess the EOIs, we actually look at each one of these different criteria. So don't run out of puff by the end. Make sure you address the outcomes and the outputs, not just the project deliverables. So we're also looking at a clear statement of what your outcomes will be. And we also want to know the outputs. So that's another 400 words. There's a statement about how your project team is going to engage with your stakeholders, what sort of risk management will be involved. We want you to download our contract and let us know if there's any changes that you propose to the form of contract. Then for your individual researchers, if you could include a 2-page CV for each of your project team members, that would be excellent because we do assess on the quality of the research team as well. So we see here there's a evaluation criteria, and this is how we break down the value marks for each one of those criteria that I just went through. So you've got the research capability, the project approach, project outcomes and outputs, industry engagement, and value for money. And the detail for each of these is in the EOI documentation. So make sure you address all of them, not just one of those criteria. So today, 19th of January, we're halfway through. We would like the project, well, you need to get it in by the 20th of February, 5 p.m. We're really looking forward to your submissions. And I do want to thank Sophie in particular for coming along today and sharing her knowledge. I'm going to open the room up very shortly for your questions and answers to make sure you get all the information you can today. The frequently answered questions will be included as part of the documentation too, and this will also feature on our YouTube channel. Kamal, apart from human life, would the project expectation would include animal life as well? Mitigation from animals, like looking after animals, or you mean the problems that we get from animals, such as the pathogens? Kamal, are you able to expand on this question?
Yeah, I think what the question was asking is like, apart from human health aspect of this project, are we also looking into the impact not only coming from animal sector, but also to the animals due to the flooding events?
Not so much looking at the animals, impact on the animals, because we're really looking at the mitigation to the SES staff members,
Okay,
be it both the volunteers and the paid staff. So yes, the animals will cause an impact in return onto the people, but we're really looking at the impact on people.
on people. Okay, thank you. Thank you
No
for that.
worries. Would projects aiming for technological solutions be considered as well? Sure. Don't see why not. Sophie, you got any views on technological solutions to making your life safer in floodwaters?
No, no, I think that'd be great.
So please do put your hands up if you've got more questions. We like the easy questions, but you can throw hard ones at us. Will the scope include environmental health from the perspective of decontamination at staging areas and impacts on waste? Decontamination staging areas. This is one of the interesting ones, is that how do you get your volunteers and your staff to that decontamination site when they're not distributed all the way around the nation? So, yes, we do want to know about the environmental health from a decontamination and the staging areas. Can't always be assured that staging areas are going to be the same. They're going to vary all the way around Australia. The impact on waste, it will be interesting to see what concepts, what ideas you come up with for how we are going to deal with the contaminants and where you're going to store them. I might throw over to Sophie. She might have some more information on this question.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the solutions that you're proposing, the mitigation strategies, it'd be important to mention if you think that they're going to impact more or less on the environment. We do currently have some processes around trying to protect biodiversity in an area, say if we're bringing a truck from one part of the state to another and those sort of things. But I guess, yeah, it would just be a matter of keeping it focused on that impact on our operational members and decontamination of them. But I think if your proposals factor in those elements, I think if that makes sense.
Oh, you're at Rockhampton right now and setting up a staging area. Oh, this week's flood events. Might have to get you to give the presentation for us as well, Rosie. Stay safe, please. I hope it all goes well for you setting up and the work that's being done up there at the moment. Okay, if there's no more questions, I would like to thank Sophie again for her time today. Really appreciate you coming along, and Lara for helping out. Please do jump onto our NHRA website. You'll find lots of information beyond this project. You'll be able to join in on the webinars, have a look at some of the other projects that we're already delivering to grab a few ideas. Don't be shy. NHRA is a great place to be connected and work with. So we're really looking forward to your applications.